Katim Nabiin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is to give open and sound witness. Nothing is worthy of worship except Allah is one alone with our partners and associates. And I also give open and sound witness to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the slave servant messenger and seal of the prophets. Peace be upon the prophet, upon his descendants, upon his companions, and upon the righteous throughout the world. And peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. We are forever thankful to Allah, highly glorified as He for once again blessing us with life. When we hear this call, as we always talk about, is actually a call to life. When you think about life, we're not talking about the physical death. We're talking about what most people witness and experience is spiritual death. Even when Allah says in the Quran, they have eyes wherewith they see not. They don't even see the reality that exists. That's why we talk so much about Al-Haq, the truth. They don't see truth. They see illusion and deception. Because Shaitan has created a world where people buy into those things that really put them to death and to sleep. And this call that we witness every day, we begin our lives with it, that call, first of all, begins by letting us know about who is the greatest force. We say Allahu Akbar, that's big. Now, if Allah is great, He's bigger than anything you can imagine, He's the greatest force in existence. If you submit your will to Him, then you grow into greatness as a human being. That's the whole objective of the enemy of man, is to not allow man to come into the awareness where he accept this idea of greatness. Because when a person accepts the idea that they're great, they spend all their energy, all their resources to preserve that greatness. That means that now they're not vulnerable to the schemes of the devil. If you understand that you're great, you work hard every single day to preserve that greatness. So we say Allahu Akbar, He's greater, He's bigger than anything we can imagine. He's great. And if I submit to greatness, doesn't it follow that my greatness that He put inside me should evolve out of me? But if we submit to any other force, then that force ultimately takes us down. So this call is very important for us to understand. It is a call to life. It is a call to freedom. And as we look into the Quran, we can see Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That this, He makes it very clear, that this is the book. And it contains the guidance without question for those who are conscious of Allah. Now the muttaqin are those who work to preserve the life. See, they realize it's a great life. And if they realize it's a great life, they're working to preserve that life. Because they understand when the Creator creates something, He doesn't leave it alone. If anyone, you go, you buy a car, you buy a stereo, you buy a radio, anything you buy, there's always some kind of tool that comes with it as a manual that tells you these are the things you should refer to get the maximum benefit from that car. If you got a problem, you go to the manual. Your TV, there's a problem, you open the manual says, this is how you solve this problem. Now, Allah says, this is the manual that He shows us how to preserve the greatness of the life that He gave us, not as something that we belong, that we own, but only as a trust that we have to manage. We talked before that we have to be responsible for how we care for the life that's given as a trust. Right? We talk about this car, right? When you rent the car, when you take the car back, the car needs to be in good shape or you are held accountable for the problem with that car. So the same way you make sure that car is taken care of when you rent it, for 3 days, for a weekend to go downside, wherever you're going. Because you know when you come back, I'm going to have to pay something. And as you live in this world as a servant of Allah, you know that I'm going to be held responsible and accountable for how I manage the life that Allah gave me as a trust. I don't own it. So if somebody give you something as a trust, as a loan, you have to be responsible and you have to make sure that you maintain high integrity as you deal with that product. So he says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. The muttaqin is the one that preserves. We talked before that you know that the first law of nature is self-preservation. Everything in creation, other than the human being, works to preserve itself. If you walk up on any rodent, if you walk up on any animal, the animal first gets alert, frightened, the animal may come towards you or the animal going to break camp. One or the other, because the animal knows that it is instinctively, it has to work to preserve itself. The turtle goes into the shell, right? Everything other than the human being who Allah gave this intellect, gave this will, works to destroy his life. So he says, this, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And the muttaqin is the same one that we highlight during Ramadan. We talking about taqwa, Allah consciousness. The muttaqin is the group of people who have that kind of mindset. They're working every day, not just during Ramadan, they're working every day to preserve this great life. It's a great life. As Imam Sharif gave us last week, he talking about Allah's the Rabb, that Allah says he's the one who's nourishing you because he put so much in you. He just doesn't create you and leave you. He puts so much in you that he has to work to bring out, and you'll face all kind of challenges, adversities, problems that not just are there, but those problems and challenges are helping to shape you. I read it before where it says, smooth seas don't make great sailors. You know what that means? Smooth seas don't make great sailors. See, the guy that just ride and there's no problem on the ocean is easy. Easy. but then when a challenge comes, he doesn't know how to handle it. Because he doesn't have the experience. So Allah gives us challenges to shape us, not to just weigh us down and cause us problems, but through those challenges, we grow. So Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is the book. Where Allah says that this is an-nur, it is the light. There's so much darkness and confusion in the world, and man is walking in darkness although he has physical sight. Some people would tell you, oh, I'm in a dark place, man. And they'd be so much in a dark place that the depression and hopelessness lead them towards suicidal thoughts that sometimes ultimately lead towards suicide. Because they have not yet come to appreciate the greatness that Allah gave them. It's a great life. And I don't care how overwhelming the challenges may be, others before you probably had more intense challenges that they worked their way through. Because we read in the Quran where Allah said, He will not place on you a burden greater than your capacity to bear. Now you have to believe that. So I know you read that. But have you internalized that Allah said He would not burden me? He said that He made you strong. That's what they're saying. And He's not going to do an injustice to you. Because you have to recognize that you are His creation. It's not about your life that it belongs to me. You are His creation. And He knows what His creation needs, and He knows what His creation can handle. And some people have had adversity, and they've been way down in the pit and came up strong. In fact, sometimes they've came up stronger before they went into the pit. Because He already told us in the Quran that He created the human being with the capacity to face difficulty. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. That he created you with that kind of capacity. See, you are great. That's why we say we submit to Akbar. And if you submit to Akbar, who's the greatest, oh man, you must be a great human being. And if you're a great human being, you can't accept this ideal of just being average. Because the society and the enemy of man wants you to see yourself as average. Because if you look at yourself as average, then you don't demand more from yourself. If you see yourself as average, you say, well, my life ain't worth too much. I don't have to do too much about trying to protect this life. And then you become a self-abuser because you see yourself as being average. But when you accept the fact that Allah says you are great, He created you in the most excellent mode, you're going to work hard to preserve that greatness in that great mode. Because you know that that life has purpose and meaning. And just like that manual that was attached to the car, Allah gave you the Quran. He says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is the book. And we have to refer to it because he says it's light. And the light is so powerful that you can see your way through the darkness, through the maze. The financial maze, the political maze, the immoral maze that you find in the world. So this book shows us how to function, not just average, but to the maximum of our ability. Do you think you've been maximizing the life Allah gave you? That you've been getting the most from the great life He gave you as a trust? That you see yourself as the master and the ruler in creation, that you can rule over yourself. And when you understand that you can rule over yourself, you're less vulnerable from the schemes of the enemy of man. Because he wants you to live in a dark world. That's why Allah says He sent the Quran to Prophet Muhammad to lead the people from the depths of darkness into light. People in pits. When we talk about this call, we're going to talk about this call for a while because there's so much we can pull from this call. But I said somebody can be in a pit and they can rise out of the pit into greatness. Now, I will tell you one thing, because every time I hear this call, not every time, but oftentimes I hear this call is associated with a certain type of human being. And you find very few people talking about this certain type of human being who this adhan is associated with. And here's a man that was in the pit, classified as less than being human. A beast of burden. You know the beast of burden is the beast of burden is the one who carried the burden and the load for another people. Wrote him off. That you're nothing but a slave. And then over time, Allah allowed this great human being to experience freedom. And then when they wrote off, said you're a slave, you're nobody, you're insignificant, you're meaningless. Allah allowed that human being who has certain qualities as a human being to rise up and then call the world to freedom. Here's a man that was at the pit now. Bilal was at the pit. They wrote him off as being insignificant. All you can do is be a servant to me. And there was so much pressure put on this man. I'm talking to you about pressure now, how it shapes you. And the pressure has meaning. And Bilal, once he became aware of the message of Al-Islam, resistance comes in. See, once you become awakened, then no longer do you accept to be in bondage, even though you're still captivated. It's like a person being in jail. Even though they're in jail, they become free. Their mind and spirit is free, even though they're locked in a cell. They're still free spiritually. Their mind goes outside the prison walls. So once Bilal became aware of the message of Al-Islam, resistance coming. Resistance coming so much that they took a big boulder and put it on his chest, bareback on the hot sands of Arabia. Then the average human being gonna give in. But Allah is showing us the kind of power He put into a human being. Bareback on the sand, the average person bareback on the sand just want to be released from being on the hot sand. And then they put boulders on you. See, in the world, they put the pressure of materialism. They put the pressure of debt. They put the pressure of drugs and alcohol that's killing people every day. They put those kind of weights on you and people just give in. They asked Bilal, who is your God? Bilal told them, Ahad, one Allah. Verbalize, he got energy now. But on the hot sand with boulders on you, your energy is withering away. So over time, I'm gasping for air. Ahad. Then eventually it comes to, I can't even hardly communicate. One Allah. See, I'm so determined, one Allah. I can't even speak it, but I put this finger, one Allah. The man say, let him go. See, he's free. He's no longer of any use to us. And it was that same man that they wrote off, classified him as being insignificant like they do most people. Write him off, you can't get a job, you're ex-con, you're this, you're that, you're a former drug user. All these kind of labels that write people off. It was the same person that society wrote off that Allah lifted up. So here's the former slave now calling the world to Allah in freedom. He is now saying to the world, Allahu Akbar. And he believes that because he's seen in his own life what was demonstrated. Allah took him from the pit of hell. Imagine being a slave. Ain't none of us experienced that kind of slavery. We might have been a slave to some things, but when somebody takes your ability to move, your ability to produce, your ability to travel, engage with people how you want to engage, that's a horrible place to be in. That will produce great pain and depression. But it was from that pit of hell that Allah over time allowed his man, who he destined to make the call to freedom to the entire world. So when I hear that call, I think of Bilal. And his role is so significant, most people want to even write him off in Al-Islam. They don't talk about Bilal. You find very few books, very few hadith even on Bilal. But it's one so prominent that Prophet Muhammad said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said he heard the footsteps of Bilal before him in the Jannah. That alone is powerful. Before him in the Jannah, his robe, oh man, Bilal's robe is powerful. Here's a man that Allah took from the bottom of the pit and allowed him to climb up and call the world to freedom. That's powerful. You just imagine your life, what you've been through, and how Allah can lift you up, because that's what Allah does. This way of life called Al-Islam, he said he sent the Quran to lead the human being from darkness into light. That Allah wants you to be in a better place. That's what that verse says, that Allah wants you to be in a better place. The dark misery, the pain, the home life, the financial problems, the social problems. Allah wants you to have a better place in the world. So he said he sent An-Nur so you can see. Because when you get depressed, when hopelessness comes into your life, when you become angry, and you just can't see past today, See, anger puts you into a dark place. Anger is so powerful. It's good and it's bad. That's why Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the strong man is not the good wrestler, but the strong man is one who controls his anger. Because anger is so powerful. I'm talking about darkness. That anger is so powerful. You heard people say, man, he blacked out. You know what that means, blacked out? That anger got so intense that they couldn't even see. They struck somebody that they didn't even know they struck. I was in the barber shop one day, and these brothers got into something. Brother, I'm cutting his hair. Nice guy. But he got real angry, real fired up with the brother. He was arguing. He got so involved emotionally, so angry toward the brother, that I went to try to, oh brother, and he smacked my hand off. Now he didn't necessarily mean to do it, but he was so angry, he didn't even realize what he did. That's why they say he blacked out. He could not see what was taking place because the anger had took over his experience. In fact, his life was on pause for that moment in terms of his reasoning. That's why Muhammad the Prophet said the strong man is not the good wrestler being physical, but the strong man is the one who can control those emotions, because if you don't control those emotions can move you into a very destructive place. That's the doctor. He said that. He sent down the Quran to Muhammad the Prophet to lead the human being from the depths of darkness into enlightenment. So you can see. That's why the Bible says, and you are the light of the world. That's what the world needs. They need your example. They need your demonstration of what it means to be a human being. You reflect something. You reflect decency. You reflect strength. You reflect morality. You reflect intelligence. They need to see that you are the light of the world. You have the character. You have the discipline. And when you come forth with that, people admire that, even though they won't verbalize it, they respect it. Because they know inherently that is what the human being is supposed to display. Decency. Power and control over themselves. So Allah tells us clearly in the Quran that He is. It says, Allahu Nur Samawati wal Ard. That He is the light of the heavens and the earth. Even when you see the big ball of fire called sun, Allah says that He is the light behind that light. He is the light of the heavens and the earth. And we have to be aware that this enlightenment allows us to see opportunity. See, without light, man, you see nothing. And we thank Allah. Allah said He gave us the faculties of hearing, seeing, and sight. But small are the thanks that you give. You thank Allah that you can see. All you got to do is imagine a world that you couldn't see. Can you imagine that? He says in that verse, in small, He gave it to you, but you minimize that capacity. That you see all this opportunity. You see all these resources. You see all these experiences and all these people and all these things, but Allah says, and small are the thanks that you give. See, He illuminates. He allows us to see all of His resources that we are supposed to plug into. He said that He is the light of the heavens and the earth. That whatever light you see, Allah is the light behind that light. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, he's the light. He's the light. In fact, it's Quran. The Quran is called An-Nur. Chapter in the Quran, 24, An-Nur. He says he's the light of the heavens and the earth. And he also tells us that the very purpose of this Quran being revealed is for this reason. A book which we have revealed to you in order that you may lead mankind out of the depths of darkness into the light by the permission of the Evolver to the way of him, the exalted in power, worthy of all praise. He tells us the very purpose of this revelation is to move the human being into a better place, to get them from darkness, to get them from these oppressive forces. There's so much oppression in the world. That's what happens at night. You remember that song? The freaks come out at night. I mean, they're in the daytime too, but some heavy stuff happens at nighttime. But Allah says that night is for rest. That's what he said. It's tranquil. That's when you get rejuvenated. And that's why he also says in the Quran that you seek his refuge from the mischiefs of the created things, of the darkness as it overspreads. Because that's the time that the human being is less alert. You can't relax at night, because anything can happen. But he said that in these dark places, he revealed the Quran for the purpose of leading the humanity from the depths of darkness, from depression, from oppression, from hopelessness, from poverty. These are dark places, from crime, from drugs and drug addiction, from gangs where people are killing people and controlling other human beings. Those are dark worlds. Cults, mass manipulation, mind control. Allah says that's the very purpose of revealing the Quran, that Muhammad can lead the people from those places that oppress them. Because Allah wants the human being to be liberated. That's why you submit to Akbar. When you submit to the greatest force, then your greatness comes out. But your greatness will never come out if you operate and live in this dark world. Because in the dark world, everything is secret. That means you can't allow the best to come out. But when you deal with the light, when you deal with truth, you manifest it. There's nothing to hide. So the more light you see, the more is revealed. I hope you follow what I'm saying. The more light you see, the more is revealed in your world. The less light you see, the less is revealed. That's why I talked about secrecy. Secrecy is darkness. People are hiding things. They're hiding things for different reasons. I'm talking to you about mind control, manipulation, cult type living. When you get into personality worship, you worship people. And that's the worst form of darkness. That you worship a personality. You can't get past a personality. But Allah says, in order that you may lead the humanity from the depths of darkness into enlightenment, so we can deliver the life-giving message to help people to free themselves from bondage, so the greatness that's in them can unfold as they move toward this path of al-Islam. See, Allah said, he said, the way of him. See, the way of him is the way that allows you to express the life as you move on this journey. That's why Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that you live in this life as a person on a journey. You're moving towards destiny. And as you move towards your destiny, Allah is allowing what's in you to come out. But you got to be in enlightenment. You're not going to manifest all that's in you if you're living in a dark world, because it's secrecy and it's controlled. We have to be free to express ourselves. So we're talking about from bondage to greatness. And Bilal shows us. Imam Muhammad said that Bilal personifies the will to endure and overcome. The will to endure the pressure, the pain. Don't give up. People just giving up. They're giving up and they're giving in. They're accepting defeat. And they're moving the world with a defeatist mentality. I just can't handle this. And they go into a dark space. You hear people say, I was in a dark space. And they start duplicating what they see other people, particularly on the internet. They want to just kill themselves. Serious problem. Because see, once they forget this idea, they have this connection with Allah, they lose this relationship, then they start losing the relationship they have with themselves. And they give up on living all alone. And first they become self-abusers. So he said that Muhammad received this revelation to lead the humanity from the depths of darkness. We have a job, brothers and sisters, we have a job. And I remember very few words. The Honorable Muhammad said very few words that shaped this community, that moved people to a better space. Very simply, love self. You got to get to that place where you love self. And if you don't love self, you are going to abuse yourself. And I see it every day. Drug addiction, try all kinds of experimental drugs. Wiping people out. Friends are dying. I thought people got past ODing. They ODing regularly today. There was a time in the 70s that people was ODing every day. But the way they OD today, 3-4 times more. So we have a responsibility to deliver the life-giving message of freedom and liberation. That you don't accept, allow yourself to be accepted, to live a life of bondage to drug addiction, to alcohol addiction, to cigarette. You got to work to preserve your life. And I'm not just telling you this just off of this conversation. I'm telling you this because your life is valuable. I'm not telling you this just to stop smoking. I smoked before. All right? Now, Allah used those who've gone through something to help those who are going through something. So if I tell a person, well, you can stop smoking, how do you know it? Because I did it. You can tell a person because you've done it. You can stop getting high. Because some people, I just can't stop. I can't stop smoking. I can't stop getting high. I can't stop. Yes, you can. Because there's countless of people who already done it. Yes, and they will give you testimony that is possible. And when you understand that Allah gave you a great life, you work to preserve that life. You don't become a self-abuser. Now the Quran says, Mount Fahaya, die that you may live. You gotta die to weakness, you gotta die to falsehood, you gotta die to lies, you gotta die to all this, all these forces, these urges that's working to wipe you out, that shaitan is creating in your mind and body. You gotta die to that. And the greatest jihad, as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that the greatest jihad is the struggle against yourself. Not what you do on the battlefield. So they came back from war. They won. We victorious. Allahu Akbar. Prophet Muhammad said, yes, you won that battle. But the greatest battle is against yourself. And most people get defeated with the self-battle. So I said, when you submit to Akbar, that Allah's Akbar, He's the greatest, you realize that you begin to bring out the greatness He put in your body. And when you submit to any other force, it takes you down. So we're moving from bondage to freedom. See, that's what this verse says. This verse said to lead from the depths of darkness into light. We're going to close. Because Allah said, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that the light that was sent down with him, that it would relieve the people of the shackles and the burdens that are upon them, that people are being weighed down. But it's that light that pulls them up, just like the rays of the sun pull that plant out the ground. Don't you know that's how powerful light is? When you wake up and you can see, you become dissatisfied with living in darkness and living in death. You become dissatisfied. And it's the dissatisfaction that produces the change. Yeah, as long as you're comfortable with that, you ain't going nowhere. The verse says, Mount to Fahaya, die that you may live. Don't you want to live a decent life, a productive life? Imam Muhammad said that when people lose their capacity or their potential for excellence, they're truly dead. When you lose your capacity, your potential for excellence as a human being, you are dead. Because excellence means that you coming up to excel. That's why Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that when the believer endeavor a task, they seek excellence. Oh, they seek excellence. They don't seek average. Excellence, the best. Because Allah says, that you are the best. Not an average, you're the best group of people brought out for all people. He's moving you from a place. Where you brought out from? You brought out from bondage. You brought out from drug addiction. You brought out from weakness. You brought out from oppression. He said you're the best group of people brought out. See, Exodus, the word college means to come from some place into another place. See the word college? To make an exit. You make an exodus. That's what you find in Moses. Leading people into a better life. That's why he was seeking the promised land. The land that Allah promised us is a better place for our life. We're moving from bondage to freedom, from bondage to liberation. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.